Hello YouTube, and welcome to What the Papers Say on August the 12th, 2020. As an umbrella, if you like, for what the papers say, they basically say, believe the government and buy some shit. Because if you read a lot of newspapers, as I do, you'll notice that nearly half of every page is full of adverts for the kind of shit that's destroying the planet to make a few rich people slightly richer. That's basically what newspapers are for, advertising. And there's no way a newspaper is going to run a story that goes like this. Headline, our way of life is wrong and we have to change. They're not going to do that. Because what they want is for you to see an advert. Where are we? Yeah, that's nearly a whole page. And the Co-op's not even a giant business. That's just like a little food shop in Scotland. Well, it is now. So what the papers say is usually a load of pish. It is. It's pretty much the neoliberal capitalist dream that they're selling in a newspaper. And you can see adverts for cruises, cars. Depends on the paper you buy. Man, if you buy an expensive Sunday newspaper in Britain, you'll see adverts for Audis, BMWs, Mercedes. Their property section features multi-million pound properties, and luxury cruises on ships that don't look like a skyscraper on the water. Nice, smaller cruises with big cabins and no sanitation problems. So, although I'm doing what the papers say, you should be aware that what the papers say is a load of pish. Is it news? Some of it. So, Biden decides Kamala Harris is his running mate for the White House. Good move, Biden, because you'll be 78 should you win the election. And that means that in a 4-year term, you'll be 82 at the end of your presidency. Wow, good luck with that. Kamala Harris could well be in charge of America within a couple of years, I know Biden looks good and he plays golf, or, at least he walks around golf courses. But man, 78, you really want to put your faith and the super weaponry of the world's greatest superpower in the hands of an octogenarian who can barely finish a sentence? Jeez. The Rock is Hollywood's highest earner. How does this happen? Man, The Rock's acting is like a rock. His name does what it says on the tin. He has got to be the worst actor possibly I have ever seen in a big budget movie. I'm sure there's worse actors out there, amateurs treading the boards, enthusiastic people who lack experience, but The Rock, the highest paid actor in Hollywood, you could get a Rock to do a better job. Schools go back in Scotland today, and in Northern Ireland they've been told, which is part of Britain, for those of you who didn't know that, they've been told to wear face masks. Which I like, because no teacher will ever be able to look out over their class and see the smirking clown and say, take that grin off your face, McGregor. That's not going to happen, because you won't be able to see your pupils' faces. How do you know they're not sticking their tongue out at you all the time? Ghislaine Maxwell has requested to be moved from her New York prison cell, claiming that she is being watched by guards who do not appear to be regular personnel. I predict she will soon be rushed to intensive care with a bad case of coronavirus. Or she'll fall up a flight of stairs. Something like that. She'll never see a courtroom. And Google phones are to issue earthquake alerts, giving billions of users precious seconds warning. Well, that's a good use of the vast net of technology that Google Android phones have and their interconnectedness. Has anybody else noticed on their sat nav that traffic data must be compiled from other phone users using the SatNav app, because it knows as soon as traffic slows down, where it's yellow, where it's red. It knows what your journey time is at a particular time from the feedback from the potentially thousands or millions of other road users. So I like technology when it's useful, practical, and smart. UK hopes to make Channel route unviable for migrants. This is a story that's going to run and run and run. I swear, since Britain left Brexit, I bet you, in France, the scene is like this. There's a beach, and in the distance you can see the white cliffs of Dover, with a golden halo over it, and a pound note fluttering, a giant one, fluttering in the breeze over the cliffs of Dover. And headed towards the beach is a swarm of migrants from Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Tunisia, Syria. And when they get to the beach, there's the French police, the gendarmerie, but they're not beating them back. They're selling them boats and waving them. Ah, allons, allez, allez, le Grande-Bretagne est ici. Because now that we've left Europe, or we're going to leave Europe, I think the French just love the idea that they can currently swamp the beaches of the south of England with migrants. If the French police, who are pretty severe when they want to be, if the French police, good morning Nin Hersag, if the French police wanted to stop people going down the beach with a rubber boat in France, I'm pretty sure they could. I think they're waving them on like a traffic cop. Ici, le Grande-Bretagne, à gauche, à droite. I wouldn't put it past them to actually sell them the boat. New Dutch-style roundabout forced to close after car crash. Britain's first Dutch-style roundabout, which prioritises cyclists and pedestrians, had to close following a car crash the day before it opened. You know, British people, they're conservative with a small c, which often means cunt, but it quite often means confused, curmudgeonly, and can't figure shit out. If you've ever driven in Holland, some of their right-of-way laws are slightly odd. Biden reveals Kamala Harris as his running mate. Now, she really can finish a sentence. She is, if you've ever watched her, she is a sharp debater. Yes, Hendo, I like an early morning rant. Clears the digestive system for the rest of the day. Yes, Kamala Harris, whatever you might think of politicians, she is on the ball. She may be a woke nightmare. She is full of wind and pish, but she can walk the walk and talk the talk. Greens to save Swinney in no confidence vote. As ever and as before, in the Scottish Parliament, which is just an expensive talking shop. Let's face it, she'll fix the place before lunch, mate, Luke Waddington. Yeah, if Biden dies and she's in charge, I feel America will be better served, perhaps, than either Trump or Biden. Just in terms of efficiency and presentation, because at the moment, you don't have either. Your administration is neither efficient or well presented. Whatever your feelings may be about Trump as the the hero of anti-globalist and other things, he's just rubbish. He's just rubbish at government. Coronavirus news. Sweden's virus policy fails to deliver herd immunity. This is a headline that's worth reading into, because at first scan you might think, oh, what a mistake the Swedes made, because they didn't do lockdown, unlike most of the other Scandinavian countries around them, and France and Germany. And they've taken a lot of flack for it, because we don't like people stepping out of the fold, as it were. We like countries to do as like we're doing, so we look good and it doesn't look bad, and people don't have to argue about, wait a minute, they're doing something different. So Sweden did something different, and They did some tests, antibody tests, to see who had the virus, and it turns out 70% of people in Sweden, as a country, have the antibody, and that's the same as England. Now, if you read on though, it says that the number of deaths per million people in Sweden is 570, whereas in England it's 685. Now that's 100 people less, and they didn't do a lockdown. Isn't that odd? Because you'd think if they didn't do a lockdown, there would be many more people, considering that lockdown is supposed to prevent the virus spreading through us, which it doesn't. And I will repeat this endlessly. More people died of the flu this year in Britain than the coronavirus, which means lockdown and mask wearing did not stop the spread of a deadly pathogen. Look it up, Office of National Statistics. I wouldn't say that we're being lied to. I would say it's more like we're being hypnotized. Ooh, deadly pathogens require bizarre government intrusion into your life to protect you, even though it won't protect you. It is the lockdown that has destroyed the economy and more lives than the pandemic. That is correct. And historically, when we look back on events, it's always too late, and the people who were arguing for a different course at the time often find themselves sidelined as that happens, like people who object to the lockdown, sidelined and pilloried and potentially even, attacked verbally and or legally. I've got another dog walker coming up here. I hope Ollie's not going to freak out. When he sees another quadruped, he does go a bit daft. Lukashenko's plan to stay is crumbling. That's Belarus. He's a Putin clone or acolyte. Yeah, I'm sure I've missed a story, but let's just take a look at this. This is disgusting. This is a mural of the dead Syrian boy who washed up on the beach in Greece, and being used to promote some idea or I don't know what, man, leave the kid alone, God, man, dignity and privacy in death. I just find that disgusting. I don't care what the cause is that this mural is for. That is disgusting. I hate, in fact, when victims are used on the news to make us afraid or anxious, or just to get those people who like to watch horror stories. I hate to see victims' faces and hear their names. One person dying is a tragedy for the family. Leave them alone. You could report, the weekly death statistics in Britain or the world are X. Leave the poor individuals alone, for fuck's sake. Yeah, he's seen the dog now. There's going to be some whining. Police use of facial recognition ruled unlawful. Now, there's another headline that bears some scrutiny, because if you're familiar with the case, it doesn't mean they're not allowed to use facial recognition technology at all. The judgment of the judge is that the government needs to regulate it, and that in the absence of regulation, the judge could not decide whether they were acting legally because there was a vacuum of government guidelines, not even laws. And so the judgment points to a number of policy areas that require attention. So basically what the judge is saying, it'll be fine just as soon as the government passes the laws. And until then, it's a grey area. And because I guess the legal system works like that, in the absence of a law saying that what has happened is legal or illegal, the man who bought the case won on the basis of an absence of legal framework allowing the police to use facial recognition technology. But those laws are coming, and once they're here, they'll be perfectly legal, absolutely airtight legal. What the police were doing was scanning people walking about in the high streets of Cardiff, I believe it was, just scanning away and checking them against their databases of anybody, not even databases of hardened criminals. This guy was a roads protester, and what's he doing on a database, you know? Who is a person of interest to the police? Sleepwalking into hell. Sleepwalking into hell. Hong Kong told to label goods as made in China. Da-na! And that's the end of that. There's no such place as Hong Kong. Hong Kong was a port that the British stole off China with gunboats and the threat of force, which they then used to enslave people in China to the addiction to opium, to raise money, to buy guns, to enslave more people. As Philip K. Dick once observed, actually he observed it more than once at the start of his books, the empire never ended. I believe he was talking about the Roman Empire, which just, transmogrified into the Holy Roman Empire. Now, the British Empire, upon which the sun never used to set, that didn't end. We are living in the British Empire. We invented the limited company. We invented corporate rape and tyranny and exploitation of you, corruption of your government, your rulers, extraction of your resources for peanuts, the stealing of people's and nations' wealth by a few wealthy families. We invented that shit, and that is now how the whole world is rolling. Yay, we're mad for that shit. It's such a good idea. You can see its appeal. Financial empire is still well and alive, absolutely. It's not going away. It's very functional, and it's obviously got its attractions. I definitely missed a story. And the story was I would have thought it would have been on the front page. Here we go. Putin claims world's first COVID-19 vaccine. To the winner. To the victor the spoils, you would think. But no. Let's not imagine for a moment that any of the Western governments are going to buy that shit. In fact, they've already began slating it and talking it down as if it couldn't possibly be as good as the expensive pharmaceutical vaccine that we've got planned and coming. And all the things they're saying about Putin's vaccine or Russia's vaccine, they're unlikely to, and this newspaper is unlikely to run a headline like it. Oh, it hasn't had enough scrutiny and testing, it's been rushed through. What do you think we're doing? Is there any vaccine under development in Britain, America, France, Germany, et al. That is getting the right scrutiny, that is going through the proper channels? Is it? Fuck. Similar vaccines being developed in the UK and China. Advanced clinical trials set to start today in Russia. 1 billion doses by 20 countries have already been ordered. I don't know if that's the same as paid for. Yes, Big Pharma is exempt from being sued. In this country, people weren't paying attention when the British government passed the emergency coronavirus laws. One of them said, nobody can be sued for anything that gets done in the ensuing emergency because it's an emergency. Nurses can't be sued for malpractice. Doctors can't be sued for negligence. The army can't be sued for inappropriate behaviors or, tyrannical and cruel methods. Nobody can be sued for anything. And in fact, in another story, which I glanced at, Scotland is about to renew all of its emergency laws until March next year. Hey, something to look forward to as the beat goes on. The beat goes on. So, that's what the papers say. They say, be very afraid and shop. Shop in a state of fear. Shop from home. Work from home. Be afraid from home. Well, thanks for being with me, YouTube. We'll see you some more during the day as I continue my 100 gigabyte data challenge. And for those of you who were asking, where have my whiskers gone? Well, when I got home, I had a shower and a shave. Man, I was smelly. And also, doing the 100 gigabyte data challenge involves a lot of close-up video work, you know, like real close. And it became apparent to me that I looked rough as fuck. Which brand of loo roll am I analysing today? Well, that's a top secret. Okay, I'll catch you later. I'm going busking. I may see you there. Have fun. Take it easy.